everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to do my pickled egg recipe. Big Country actually asked me for the recipe, but it was my idea to make a video of it. I could have just, printed it up and posted it or something, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to actually show y'all the process and show y'all each thing that I do, and then I can explain the ones that need explanation. But I understand if pickled eggs aren't your thing or whatever, and if that's the case, then do me a favor and at least don't be a little bitch, and give this video a thumbs up before you flick over to your viral TikTok bullshit. I'd appreciate that. But this is for Big Country, and he's been a long time subscriber, and I just wanted to do this as kind of a thank you to him for his support. So here we go with our pickled egg recipe here. All right, and to start it off, I've got, I think this is a 2 or 3 gallon glass jug. You don't want to use plastic, or I don't use plastic because plastic breaks down. The acid and the vinegar will break the plastic down and get into the food. So I use this glass one. I think I bought this at Walmart actually. So we can do this here. And usually I start out with a couple cans of these sliced beets. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're sliced or, the little tiny baby ones or the diced ones or whatever. That part doesn't matter as long as you've got the purple beets. Now pour those in there. And honestly, I put the beets in there just for the coloring. That's the way my grandma did it. I learned this from her, and I've changed it over the years to suit my specific tastes as I've grown up, but I use it mainly for the coloring. You can't really taste the beets a whole lot the way I do it here, but this purple coloring soaks into the egg white, and that way you can tell when the egg is completely pickled, because the entire egg white will be purple all the way down to the yolk. So that's why I do that, more than flavoring. And if you absolutely just don't like beets, you could just add a little food coloring to the mix instead of the beets, if that's the case. But either way, it's a good indicator of how much your solution has soaked into the egg. All right, now I've got some purple onions. Just they don't strongly flavor the mixture. The garlic too, they don't add a lot of flavor because you're not cooking them, but they just add a hint of a flavor to the entire solution. And so that's kind of why I do this. Garlic is supposed to be really good for you, so I like to use garlic in what I do. It's supposed to have a lot of positive things for the human body, and I just like purple onions. So you can change this. You can add Vidalia, the sweet onions, or regular white onions, doesn't matter, or delete the onions completely. This is just purely for my taste, both of these two. All right, next, jalapeno slices. I like to put pickled jalapenos in here. They're just the delicatessen sliced jalapenos. They've got a mild kick to them, and once you dilute them and all this other stuff, it doesn't make them really super hot or anything, but it adds a good flavor and a little spice. It adds a little bit of a kick to it. So I really like this. I don't make if I don't have jalapeno slices, then I won't make pickled eggs. I can do without the onions or some of the other stuff, but if I don't have these, I'm not making pickled eggs. And the juice is the most important thing, but the jalapenos Oh. And of course I got one that, there we go, there we go. All right. Just dump the whole thing in there. This is a 32 fluid ounces. So you can get, you know, a couple of the smaller jars. I just got this big jar because it was less expensive. Save a couple bucks. All right. Now I will add about a tablespoon of iodized salt. For this and a lot of my cooking, I like to use the iodized because there's iodine in it, and you know, we need iodine, so I use that. And like I said, about a tablespoon. I don't like to add too much because you can't take it back out. You can always, you know, you eat one pickled egg and you could say, oh, those need more salt, so put a little more salt in. But if you eat one and it's just way too salty, the whole thing is ruined. So I add a little bit of salt in here. Like I said, about a tablespoon or so. The salt, it cuts down. If you don't put the salt in, then the mixture is just really sharp and acidic tasting, which might be fine for some people. So you want to experiment with this kind of stuff. Maybe you want to try it before you can mix this whole thing up together without the salt, then try a pickled egg, and you know, then add a little salt later. Like I said, you know, you can always add salt later. So just kind of experiment with this. It just cuts down on that acidic kind of tang and adds more of a salty, kind of a mellow flavor. So that's why I do that. And then of course the cayenne pepper, which is like, I don't know if y'all seen that Frank's Red Hot commercial, but I put this shit on everything, almost literally. Everything I eat damn near, I put cayenne pepper in it. And maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, something like that. Now that's just to add a little more kick to it and for health benefits. I've just heard lots of good things about cayenne pepper and the heart and the circulatory system. So I mainly use cayenne in favor of other peppers because cayenne is supposed to be so good for the heart. So I don't know if it's true or not. We'll see. We'll see if I die of a heart attack or not when I go. If I die of a heart attack, y'all know that's a fairy tale because I eat plenty of cayenne pepper. All right, let me see. I gotta grab a. Forgot my stirring spoon here. Mix all this up together pretty good. All right. All right, there we go. Get that salt mixed in there and the cayenne. Okay. And another thing about the pickled eggs is that it doesn't really matter how much of the solution that you make, the pickling solution. That does not matter as long as it covers the eggs. You can fill this thing up and pickle one egg, literally. I mean, that's not, or you can put 24 eggs in here and just barely cover them. That really doesn't matter as long as they're completely covered in the pickling solution. So what you need to pay attention to here is the percentages that I put in, not necessarily the exact amounts, you know. So if you want to double this solution, you just want to, double everything. So, and here we have the vinegar, and my wife thought I was crazy when I first started making these with apple cider vinegar, but this is what I like. It just tastes really good. The white vinegar is, and you can actually dilute it with white vinegar. You can use part apple cider vinegar and part white, but I just like the apple cider vinegar. It tastes a lot better. It's supposed to be healthier for you. I don't know if you can read this with the lighting or whatever, but this one, Mother Earth vinegar with the mother. It says it has the mother, and it's raw and unfiltered. I don't know what the mother is, but when I read that, I can picture one of those wood chicks, with the hairy armpits and the dreadlocks and the dirty bare feet and shit. So, you know, if she says it's good for you, then you know it's damn healthy. So the mother, so I figure it's healthy, and it sounds good to me. So we'll put those in there, and I have a full gallon, and that's what I'll use. And I try to mix up, I don't know if you can see it in this one, but all that stuff there, the solids in this, try to get those in there. But I'm gonna pour the rest of this one in there, and then, you know, half of this one, so I get a full gallon, maybe all of this one. We'll see what it looks like as I fill it up. I'm just gonna give it a shake here now that I've got some air in there, and mix up some of those solids into the mixture. There we go. All right, that's probably all told. I think this is, like I said, I think it's a 3-gallon container, so that's probably a 1.5 gallons of solution, you know, with all the ingredients together. And then I have our boiled eggs, and I just put them in there one at a time, and they should pretty much sink down to the bottom. And if they don't, by the time I'm done, I boiled 18. I bought a 18 pack of eggs and just boiled them all up at once. And if you don't know it, I put salt in my egg water when I boil the eggs, because the salt breaks down in there, and it actually raises the boiling temperature of the water, so the water boils hotter. It just cooks them a little faster, a little more thoroughly. So that's how I do mine. But then you put your pickled eggs in here like this, and as I said, they should sink, but I'll throw all 18 of these in there. And as you can see, I'm not the perfect egg peeler, but you know, messed up eggs eat the same as perfectly peeled eggs, so I don't really care. And that is it right there. Get a good stir in there, mix all that stuff up together. And normally, as I was saying earlier, it'll take some time for the solution to soak into the eggs through the egg white and get to the yolk. And in my experience, that usually takes about 3 days. Now, I will start eating them the next day. You know, they've only soaked in a little bit. I don't care. But if you want to wait until they're all the way soaked in, you want to give them about 3 days. And then when you eat that first one, it'll be soaked pretty close to the yolk, almost all the way through the white. So, and that is my pickled egg recipe for Big Country. And there she is. That's what it looks like. Let that thing sit there for a couple days, and those will be the best damn pickled eggs you ever had in your life. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll leave you there with that. As always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.